All right, welcome back everybody to the 2018 Sonic Gen. All right, welcome back everybody to the 2018 Sonic Generations Relay Race. Here we have Thebluemania versus Sukimos in Sonic Forces. We have commentary by Sayori, and I'm going to do a small countdown here, and we'll be good to go. All right, so 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and go.
Alright, well, this is Sonic Forces. This is a pretty interesting speedrun to watch. If you've seen anything from Sonic Generations, it's somewhat similar in that like there's the boost and the gameplay is pretty identical when you're playing as modern Sonic. However, he has the double jump if that matters. The game is actually built off of Lost World, so a lot of the wonky physics from there carry over. It's interesting to see how it applies to later stages, but for now we just have Lost Valley, which is basically just the game's tutorial level. It's very simple, it's mostly just a straight line with some jumping, which some might argue the whole game is, but no, it is not. It's just, a lot of Sonic games tend to start with simple stages, I think. But there's really not much to say for Lost Valley. Any super cool time-saving tricks that can be done in Lost Valley are pretty, they're not really feasible to do in any percent, because they can kill the run very easily, so you usually don't see that. Anyways, Sukimos 102 and Thebluemania with a 101, those are both pretty good. Usually want to get around a 101. So the big feature of the game obviously is creating your own custom avatar character, but you don't do that in the speedrun because it's slow and it doesn't affect anything other than aesthetics, so who cares about that? You just mash through that and you select the dog as your species. The overworld also occasionally has text to mash through, but it's nothing special. Ooh, so here we have one of the big features of the early game speedrun, or like the early game of the speedrun. Each stage where you play as a custom character has a feature called the rental avatar, where basically you can rent the avatar of somebody else from the internet who's played the game, and then you can use their avatar for yourself for that one stage. And they're going to be doing that for all of the early game to get the drill wispin, which they're using right now. And the drill wispin is one of the several wispins that you can use in the game. And basically, you mash the drill 3 times and it propels you forward at an insane velocity. And we really abuse that during the run because it's very fast and it snaps the game in half whenever you're playing as the avatar. That's not to say that modern Sonic and classic Sonic are boring, but the avatar and tag team stages are definitely like the most, how to put it, the most heated levels. Ooh, we had some, Sukimos was falling a little behind. There was a little slip up I could see earlier. With the rails at the end of the spaceport level here, you can actually, normally if you just stay on the rails and just occasionally switch between like left, middle, right, your momentum actually like slows down, like you slow down when you're on the rails. So to keep the momentum that you get from the little speed boosters that are on them, you just make tiny little jumps constantly and it keeps that. And then you stop jumping when you get to the next speed booster and then you keep jumping again. Just whatever you can do to maintain your momentum is good. So Sukimo's got a 140 spaceport. That's not super good. That was definitely a rough time lost at the beginning, but that's not to say that he can't catch up eventually, or at least get close. Thebluemania, we got the Ghost Town Classic Sonic stage, and there was a big slip up there. He touched the spikes towards the beginning, and he fell down. So now Sukimos has a good chance of at least catching a little up. Touching spikes when you're Classic Sonic is really rough because the animation for Classic Sonic recovering from it just takes forever. It annoys me too as a runner of this game. That's why usually in normal runs or ILs, you just reset immediately when you touch any stage hazard because the recovery animation is stupidly long. Alright, that was a very solid ghost town from Sukimos. Thebluemania had a 51, but with touching the spikes, that wasn't too unsurprising. And we got more cutscenes to skip here. We're skipping every single cutscene. Thankfully, there are no cutscenes that you can't skip, unless you count the in-level ones where the timer still runs. Wish we could skip those. Though there is one of those that we can actually skip later on. Anyways, for the 4th-stage Prison Hall, this level is all about precise drill movement, especially in the second half of the level, which is completely 2D. The 3D part isn't much of a hassle. Specifically, the drill has this great thing where, like, it's just kind of the game's physics. When you use the drill to propel yourself forward, if you slide, then your speed will go on for a lot longer. That's very helpful for the 3D part of this stage. Seems like Thebluemania got a bit hung up at the beginning of the 2D section. There's a spiral that takes you there, and if you position yourself improperly on the way to the spiral, then you'll lose all of your speed and get stuck into the scripted loop that the game puts you in. So that was a little unfortunate, but this should still be a somewhat decent Prison Hall time. The 2D section of Prison Hall just consists of stomping and then immediately drilling once you see an opening to get to the next part of the stage. It's fairly simple, at least when you're really good with the drill. Here, Thebluemania got a 55, which is not bad at all. That's actually pretty good for any percent, and Sukimos 55 too. Alright, those are both really good times for any percent too, so props there. And next up we have, oh boy, we have Zavok. Nah, I'm not very excited about this. Zavok is the first boss in the game, and it is the most boring part of the game, in my opinion. There's really nothing to say here. This fight is just an auto-scroller at its core. You just dodge a few attacks, wait for Zavok to slam down onto the ground, and then he'll be vulnerable to attack, and then that just repeats. It's very boring, and every runner dreads this because it's just, no, I want to get to the next stage where stuff actually happens, but you gotta get past this first. It's just a bore fest, so you can go grab some popcorn right now. You won't miss anything. Only thing of note here is that good time for this stage in any percent is around a 150, 149 to a 151. But other than that, yeah, there's nothing to say here.
No matter. Crushing will be all the more satisfying.
Man, this fight is not entertaining. Alright, Thebluemania wrapped up the Zavok fight with a 149.02. That is
How could I lose to the likes
barely off of a 148. That is a really solid Zavok time. And Sukimos following up with a 149.67, still really good. Double 149 is really awesome. Can take whatever time save you get in a really boring fight like that. One thing also of note here, okay, neither runner got it, which is good, but there's something that can randomly happen after you complete stage 5, which is the game's daily mission bonus. It's basically an experience boost, which you don't want because it gives you more awards, therefore it takes up more time of the results screen. So it's random if they get that, so glad they didn't. Anyways, this is Egg Gate. Right off the bat, they're going to be going through the 2D section and then doing a skip, which I don't really think it has a name as far as I'm aware, but it's a skip and egg gate that allows you to just kind of fly. Well, it's not really flying, you're just kind of falling towards the goal, how to say. Basically, to get to the goal, you need to go through a boring QTE, and you're basically kind of just falling towards that. You do an out of bounds, and then you just hold yourself in the ball form and land on the rail at the beginning. That takes you to the QTE. There are a few death planes to maneuver around, and if you're not high enough, kind of similar to Crazy Gadget Skip Skip, then you won't be able to land on the rail. So that's something to worry about. And unfortunately Sukimos missed it, so he'll have to try again from the checkpoint. Thebluemania got it spot on though, so he can continue. That skip is not the worst thing in the world to miss. There's a skip in the next stage that's a lot worse, but this is still kind of bad. Not out of the game yet though. And we got a 115 from Thebluemania, which is alright. Usually you want to aim for around a 110 or a 112. And Sukimos followed up with landing on the rail on the second attempt. Better than nothing, so glad he got that. Got more text to skip, and now we have to use the rental avatar again on the next stage, Arsenal Pyramid. You're always going to be getting the drill, just of note. So this stage has what's probably one of the hardest skips in the game, and that is Pyramid Skip, which is basically Arsenal Pyramid starts out with normally just a small section before the pyramid, and then you go inside the pyramid, which is where the level itself takes place. And using Pyramid Skip, we just skip that entirely. You do one out of bounds to get into the part where you normally do the infamous double boost trick, and instead you just go through it normally. And then once you get to high enough on the outside of the pyramid, you strafe to the left, and then you boost into the air. And then using some very precise timed movement with the boost, you boost towards the goal, and then at the right time you drill towards it, and you're supposed to hit the goal, but unfortunately Thebluemania missed it.
That's how it's done. We've got unstoppable speed and timing. We just have to keep this up.
Eggman's forces are scattering bombs like confetti.
We can't go on like this.
The whole place is going up in flames. That's the kind of fireworks I like. Thrashing around, I see. Filthy little sewer rat.
Haven't you seen a hedgehog before? Come on, I'll show you my spines.
Okay, it appears we lost our commentator. You know, internet issues. I apologize for this.
Impossible. Your abilities exceed your previous data.
Unlike mechs, I can grow. I get more powerful every second.
I will teach you to hold that tongue next time.
Alright, Frokonak, your mic is live.
Alright. Hello guys.
And
How's
then
everyone doing?
Thebluemania wrapped that up pretty well.
Oh, Sayuri is back, okay. Never
Oh,
mind
what?
then.
Did I go out?
Oh, yeah, you...
Oh, I'm sorry. My mic must have gotten disconnected somehow.
It's okay. So yeah,
I'm
you
so
don't need
sorry
me
about
then.
that.
No problem.
Where was I? Sorry about that. I didn't realize my mic went out. I think I fixed it though. I don't know what I did, but alright. Anyways, they both, yeah, the times they got for Infinite One was just fine, so. Anyways, we got the next classic Sonic stage, Green Hill. Everybody's favorite stage, I know. We all love it. And it's basically your typical classic Sonic stage. We got of course we have the addition of the drop dash because this is the same Sonic from Sonic Mania. And with some sleek drop dash movement, we can wrap this up in about 45 to 55 seconds at the most. And Thebluemania is on pretty good pace here. Yeah, as long as they don't fall to the bottom path. That's the word. Like, I guess you could say that for most classic Sonic games. You don't want to fall on the bottom path. But Thebluemania wrapped that up really nicely with a 47. That is a solid time for 90%. Okay, Sukimos, to get to the upper path, after the cave, you need to land on the red springs, but unfortunately Sukimos was not able to land on them. Had to wait for the yellow spring to come back down to land on it. That was, unfortunately Sukimos had a very, very rough green hill. That was a 57, that's not too good.
My own genius scares me sometimes.
But Thebluemania is ahead at the Dr. Eggman boss fight. It's split into two phases, the first boss fight from Sonic the Hedgehog 1, and then transitions into the Egg Dragoon, which you will probably recognize from Unleashed and Generations. And this fight consists of the Egg Dragoon knocking RNG determined pattern rocks at Classic Sonic, and you knock them back at him.
Got a lot of nerve for a bite-sized Sonic from another dimension.
It's not the most exciting thing in the world.
10% of its combat.
But for ILs, the rocks can actually be really annoying just because of the patterns. You want to, kind of like most RNG, you want to get good RNG, and this fight is that. But Thebluemania wrapped that up with a 55, which is not bad at all. I believe a sub 50 was recently achieved in the Egg Dragoon fight, but I don't think that's feasible to get an 90%. Alas. Still, Thebluemania with the 55, and Sukimos is halfway done. Okay, so Thebluemania got good RNG with the rental avatar for the Park Avenue stage. Believe it or not, or maybe not. The rental avatar feature is actually RNG in that the list of avatars that you get, 9 total, is completely random. And actually not even sometimes, somewhat often, you can actually end up with a list, depending on the stage, that has no drills at all, and it's the worst thing ever. Because you have to refresh the list, and then you have to scroll through it, and then find the drills, but hopefully that doesn't happen to any of them here.
We secured an escape route, so there's a safe way out. Thanks to the rookie, things are turning around.
Oof, okay, Sukimos was not the best. Chose the wrong one and scrolled through a bit. Thebluemania's Park Avenue is looking pretty average here. Yeah, with a high 47, basically a 48. Yeah, Park Avenue is very easy to mess up, especially towards the middle with the weirdly shaped loop. We'll see what Sukimos does for that. Okay, there's actually a, I don't know if it's like some collision error or something, but it's some sort of bug where you can actually really quickly fly through the inside of the loop, and it's faster than just taking the loop normally. Neither of them got it, unfortunately. And Thebluemania's up in Casino Forest, which is another classic Sonic stage. I know we all love those. And the most annoying thing about Casino Forest, or what can happen, is essentially the all the casino gimmicks, the bumpers and whatnot. You can get stuck in between them, and it sucks. You can spend up to 10 seconds in it, and it's just such a huge time loss because of the stupid shoehorn casino gimmicks. Thebluemania had a solid beginning. Seems like this will turn out to be a high 40 something, 47. That's a really good Casino Forest, especially for any percent. And we see Sukimos trailing on. Good beginning so far. Nothing to worry about unless he gets stuck within the bumpers and whatnot. Believe it or not, that one egg pawn near the rotating platforms is actually the only enemy in the entire level. Everything else is a stage hazard, which I always found odd. And next up is for Thebluemania screen, we got Aqua Road. Aqua Road is infamous in the Sonic Forces speed community for being one of the worst stages in the game by far. Especially in any percent. Basically, there's a water slide physics in the level to take advantage of, and you can use the drill to like rocket through them really quickly. You don't necessarily skip the trigger for the water slide, but you just progress through it very quickly. And it's because of how much speed you gain once you have gone past the trigger, it's very hard to maneuver yourself. In essence, it's very easy to fall off the water slide and have to redo the entire beginning portion of the stage. So thankfully that did not happen to Thebluemania. He's wrapping that up with a 49, which is pretty good for Aqua Road. Honestly, any Aqua Road run where you don't fall off the slide and die is good enough by my eyes, even if it's like over a minute, because I think I'd rather have that than just falling off the slide and just doing that repeatedly for who knows how long. Sukimos is using his new slide strat. Let's see how that works out. Oh man, no, it didn't work. Okay, that blows. He was using his own new strat where instead of drilling and sliding past the trigger, you jump and then drill, which makes a difference, and it makes yourself easier to maneuver. And if you get close enough to the grappling hook trigger at the end, it'll activate, and you don't have to touch the springs. And what happened there was he activated the trigger for it at the same time as touching the death plane, so he just ended up dying instead, which is really a bummer. And Thebluemania is in Sunset Heights, but there's really nothing much to talk about there. It's easily one of the most, if not the most boring modern Sonic stage in the game. it's essentially just a stripped down Park Avenue. You'll notice the layout is almost exactly the same. The levels are almost the same, just some parts are moved, just some parts are altered, some enemy positions are changed, spikes are in different places, but it's basically the same level. You're just playing as modern Sonic and it's even shorter. And you got more cutscenes to skip. Mr. Rad cutscene with Shadow. And then with Thebluemania, we got Capital City. This stage is interesting. It has 3 skips, which is really incredible. And he's scrolling through the list. Oof. You got Sonic KR's drill avatar, which is better than nothing. You got a drill, but it took a bit of scrolling to find, which is the problem. Anywho, the first skip, we'll see if he goes for it. Basically, there's an in-game cutscene where the avatar is flying past Infinite, and you can drill jump past the trigger and skip that entirely. And he got it. Alright, that's good. As long as he doesn't... Alright, he didn't die there. That's good. That saves about 7 seconds in-game time, at least. And the second skip that you just saw there was a floor clip, which is pretty self-explanatory. You clip through the floor. And here's the biggest skip of this stage, which I don't remember if this skip has a name either, but it's basically getting onto a portion of the stage and then drilling and sliding, or drilling and jumping, you can do either, at a precise angle to fly upwards, and then you can sort of drift towards the end of the stage. You have to remember that you're on a sideways building because the gravity was flipped by Infinite, so you can take advantage of that if you're at the right angle and just fly towards the end. It's pretty neat to see when done correctly. And Thebluemania wrapped that up, which was very nice. Got all the skips. And hopefully Sukimos can follow suit. Now for Thebluemania, before he continues on to the fight, second fight with Infinite, he has to switch to the drill avatar on his own avatar. Because of the game's experience point system, and because he's using the because he's using the dog species, you actually get the drill to use all on your own after you get 1 gold medal. And thankfully he got that before the Infinite fight. It's possible to get it later, which does suck, but that didn't happen. The Infinite 2 fight is very broken in that all you have to do is, as soon as the fight starts, you just drill towards him once, wait 1 second, and then drill towards him again. And then you repeat that in the second phase of the fight, only with no 1 second delay. And yeah, it's over. That fight can always be finished within 14 to 18 seconds or so, depending on how fast you can mash the drill button. And that was a 1686, which isn't super good, but it's definitely still up there. And Sukimos wrapped up Capital City with a 56, which is great.
According to Rouge, there should be a database somewhere.
Here Thebluemania up at Chemical Plant, which is of course another classic Sonic stage. And this is probably like the most unremarkable one of them all. There's no real, I guess there is one skip. Basically, there's a section of the level coming up where there is a loop and then there are springs on the top right. And if you can manage to jump to those springs while you're on the loop, then you can save about 10 seconds because you skip to another portion of the stage. And Thebluemania just got it, so that is great. Falling down and missing the springs is unfortunate if that happens, but it's not the worst loss in the world, as we've seen before with stuff like Egg Gate. Yeah, things can go worse. And that was a 42, which is alright. I believe the world record for Chemical Plant is, what was it? I think it was the 35 or 36. Ooh, all these costume parts, yeah. Whenever possible, we want to avoid getting an S rank in the stages, which is simply because it gets you more avatar parts. Something about Red Gate Bridge here, coming up on Blue Mania screen, there is a QTE skip at the very beginning. It's basically jumping after a speed booster, and then you drill and slide and double jump to skip the QTE trigger, which is really great. I remember being so happy when that was found. Anyways, the Metal Sonic fight is also very unremarkable. You can get through the whole fight just like holding the controller in your right hand. All you gotta do is just drill and slide towards Metal Sonic over and over, or you can drill and jump, whatever floats your boat. Very unremarkable fight. And we're gonna be seeing this same fight again later on, only reskinned. But as long as the runners get for Metal Sonic around 116 to a 1, I'd say personally like a 123 or something. Anything in between that is great for any percent, so we'll see what happens. Got the double boost there, and Sukimos had a unfortunate classic Sonic chemical plant coming in at nearly 1 minute. Got some cutscene skips, and then the next stage, which now might be a good time to, because the next stage is not the most remarkable thing ever. Something I should point out is that in all of the modern Sonic only stages, you may or may not have noticed that the runners are not, well, kind of was already messed up with Sukimos, but whenever possible, they're not stomping or sliding. The reason for that is at any point past a certain stage, if you are in a modern Sonic only level and then you stomp or slide, you actually get an extra reward on the results screen, which, believe it or not, does matter if you want to save those extra few seconds from the rewards for the avatar parts coming up. You don't want those to show up in general, so all you have to do is just get through the levels without stomping or sliding, which is harder than it looks. But Thebluemania is wrapping up Guardian Rock, which is a very, very short avatar stage, usually about 20 to 30 seconds in length. The rest of the stage, if you can call it that, is just a QTE. The real stage ends about 20 to 30 seconds in, depending on what pace the runner's on. A good time for Guardian Rock is within the realm of a 113 to a 122. 113 being just purely IL strats. If you're talking about any percent, then you're looking at around a 117. And Thebluemania wrapping that up with a 116. That is solid. That is very solid for any percent. Major props there. And Sukimos wrapped up Red Gate Bridge with a 119. So sub 120 for that is pretty good too. So props to both of them for that. And now Thebluemania is going on to Network Terminal. This is a very interesting stage to see with the whole with the keeping in mind the no stomp and no slide strats, because this stage can be a challenge to learn that way. So he kept the boost, he lands on the rail. Alright, he just did a rail jump there, which is keeping a tiny bit of your boost, so you can boost jump onto another rail later in the stage, which is a great time save. Glad he got that jump, because it's very possible to miss it. And the rest of the level is without stopping or sliding. It just becomes a matter of boosting, boosting off of platforms and homing attacking enemies at the right time. Here at the end of the stage, we had a precise double jump off of a platform, which allows you to skip an entire upper part of the level, which is another great time save. We got a few more boosting and jumping, and yeah, wrapped up the stage with a 59.61. Sukimos is also wrapping up Guardian Rock, finishing the QTE, and he is ending that stage with a 115, which is just incredible for any percent. That's barely off. That's barely a few seconds off of the IL world record, so that's major props right there. Thebluemania just took back 57% of the world, which is always nice. Eggman's such a meanie.
The defense system's still up. I thought we
Alright, now they're both
Probably switched over
on to their next stages with Thebluemania at Classic Sonic's Death Egg, which is somewhat similar in vein to Sonic the Hedgehog 3 Knuckles' Death Egg. You'll see some similar obstacles and whatnot, although this stage has a lot of those what do you call them, the ring things that you ride. They make that annoying noise and you have to sit through the animation. Well, these stages do have that.
This is the pits. It's messing with my head.
Just stay calm, and you'll figure out the way
As long as he gets to the next speed booster.
Level the place.
50. Okay, Thebluemania is... He did lose some time there in Death Egg. Optimally, you want to get to the ringamajig, whatever you call that, at around 51 seconds or less. And then now he's taking this one at the top path because you need to take that to get to the goal post of the stage. Sukimos didn't have a super good time with Network Terminal. I didn't like him today with a 107. But Thebluemania got a 124. Neither got super good times. Maybe one can catch up to the other. As long as Thebluemania doesn't lose any more time, then Sukimos should be within reason to catch up more. Ooh, seems like Sukimos fell off of the half loop there. That's rough. And Thebluemania on Metropolitan Highway now, which is a pretty interesting modern Sonic stage. A lot of really cool movement here, both 2D and 3D. So the 2D portion isn't very remarkable at all. But then we have a skydiving part, and then there is a automated kind of like a straight line section that takes you to the next 3D part of the level. But with a jump and a boost aimed at the right side, you can skip that. And then there's another platform that he jumps and boosts onto. He got it. You have a risk of falling off there, so glad he didn't. Boost towards an enemy at the end of the chain to get to the 2D section. And now he's there. No mishaps, and this has been pretty solid so far. Gotta remember that he needs to get through all of these stages without stopping or sliding, which, as I mentioned, is a lot harder than it looks. Okay, he missed a death plane there, which is good. Wrapped up Metropolitan Highway with a 107. Surprisingly, on those like weird white trees on the sides of the streets, there are actually death planes on parts of those trees, which is really bizarre, and it's actually surprisingly easy to land on those trees and get yourself killed. Always happy when that doesn't happen, you know? And then we have the heavy hitter, Thebluemania reaching it now, called Null Space. how to begin with it. Basically, Null Space is a stage where there are just so many different ways to get to the goal in the speedrun too. It's kind of hard to know. It's kind of hard to tell what strat you might go for because there's so many to choose from. If you're consistent on one or the other, and I know they've both been practicing this stage in particular. Should be interesting to see what happens here, but there's just so much of the stage that you can skip outright if you know what to do. At the beginning, Thebluemania is trying to go for the rail jump. Unfortunately, he missed it. It just skips a small rail portion at the beginning of the level. It's a very nice time save if you can get it. He did get it on the second try though, so it's better than nothing for sure. Now he's going to be going for a strat that Sukimos came up with. It's basically rail jumping onto a square-shaped platform, and then off of that platform you jump, and then you double jump, boost, and drill towards a rail that takes you to the end of the stage. Thankfully, Thebluemania got that. Now you just got to kill all the enemies to get the thing to come down. You take the jump to the end. That was a 106. The death at the beginning of the level from the rail jump cost him, because that could have been sub 1 otherwise. Still, with or without it, that was still a good time. Especially considering he was able to get the strat later on. Alright, now they're both coming into their next stages with Thebluemania at Imperial Tower, which is kind of also an infamous stage in the Forces speedrunning community because of all the different ILs that can be done at this stage. There are some cool strats that can be done here. It's just a matter of knowing if it'll be just typical like drill through it all the way, or if they'll be going for them. It seems like Thebluemania is taking it pretty safely here. Just drilling through the straight line areas of the stages, and then using the drill power up on the walls to get up them faster. Yeah, that's exactly what Thebluemania did. Nothing wrong with that though, and this looks like it'll be a 45, and it is. Unfortunately, Sukimos missed his trick in Null Space. Had to start that over. He's going for a much riskier strat than Thebluemania too. Let's see how it goes here. Alright, he got it. Second try. Better than nothing. This should be around a 107 or so. And then Thebluemania wrapped up Imperial Tower, of course. With the next stage after that being Mortar Canyon. Probably one of the easiest stages in the game. And this late too, which is kind of odd. Sonic team, but for the most part, if you play this stage casually, you might think of it as just boosting to win the stage. That's what it is. In the speedrun, there are a variety of different strats you can go here. There's one towards the end, which lets you fly straight towards the goal, kind of similar to Eggate earlier. I personally don't think they'll be going for that just because of the risk, but you never know. And Thebluemania actually is going for it. This is a really cool skip to see if he gets it, so hopefully that can happen. It's looking good so far. And he got it. He got it. That is awesome. With a 48 in any percent, that is really great to see. And Sukimos is catching up a bit with his solid Imperial Tower. He's going for those weird strats that I mentioned earlier. It's basically drill jumping off of a wall and then drilling upwards at a precise angle to get up faster. And he is wrapping this up very nicely. No glaring flaws there. While Thebluemania enters the last boss fight with the Edgelord himself. Again, you gotta remember that he can't slide or stomp, which you normally do at the beginning of that fight to get your speed faster, but he can't do that. Basically, this fight is an upgraded version of the Metal Sonic fight earlier. But the cool thing about this is that the avatar actually joins you midway through the fight. And then Infinite is just toast because it's the avatar using the drill. And nobody is safe from the drill. Nobody. But this seems to be pretty decent Infinite 3 so far. Sukimos going for a risky early level strand Mortar Canyon, but it did not work, unfortunately. We'll see if he goes for the Mortar Canyon skip later on.
Sad and lonely you are. That Phantom Ruby virtual reality of yours is the real illusion.
And he is. They both went for it. Unfortunately, Sukimos could not get it first try. He got killed by the egg pawn, by the silver egg pawn, while trying to get more boost. Seems like he might be going for it again.
Partner, when we join forces, the
And he is. And this time was not the charm, unfortunately. He's just going through the stage normally now. That's a bummer. That skip is very cool to see, but it's certainly not easy. So I don't blame him. And Thebluemania wrapped up Infinite 3 with a 147, which is pretty good. Anything in the 140 range is great for any percent. So that's what you usually like to see. And Sukimos' Mortar Canyon was rough, unfortunately. Those deaths were costly.
Phantom Ruby signal is moving underground. Eggman is up to something.
And now we have the next and last, thankfully, classic Sonic stage. We have Iron Fortress, and this is a very, how to put it, bizarre classic Sonic stage. It has something that no classic Sonic stage, or really Sonic stage ever, should have, and that is a auto-scroller, surprisingly. It is the most boring part of this stage, and there's nothing you can do to speed it up. If anybody finds a skip for this, I will give them $100, I swear, because this is very boring. As long as you land on all the platforms, you can't die, so nothing too interesting here. Nothing's ever interesting about auto-scrollers. And Sukimos is having a alright Infinite 3 so far. As long as you don't touch the red Phantom Ruby cube spinner things, whatever you call them, as long as you don't touch those, then you're alright.
Haven't found an entrance yet.
No luck here either.
All this searching and still nothing?
My money's on the
Thankfully, the auto-scroller for Iron Forest is over, so now he is just finishing up the stage with a few nicely timed drop dashes and jumps. There's a certain jump he just got good, skips a lower half of the stage, the dreaded lower path. But unfortunately he fell back down onto it, so he had to take the slow way back up. That fall was costly, unfortunately, and ended up with a 149. Oh well. So they both wrapped their stages up. Thebluemania coming on to the last reels. Sukimos is in Iron Fortress now. And I saw some questions in chat wondering about why Thebluemania can't stomp or slide. That is because they found that, or we realized that stomping or sliding actually gives you an extra avatar like clothes customization, whatever prompt after you beat the stage you did either of those actions in. If you don't stomp or slide in any modern Sonic stage for the entire game, then you never get those prompts. So it just saves time by just not having to mash through them, which is nice. Although it does force you to have to implement new strats into those stages because um, you cannot stomp or slide. Something funky just happened on Sukimos' Iron Fortress, but at least he didn't die. And Final Judgment, if you're wondering, there wasn't much to say there. It's essentially just you're just boosting towards the core from the end of Kirby Superstar, and then you destroy all the crystals, and you double boost. That's all she wrote. And Sukimos is nicely wrapping up Iron Fortress, with Thebluemania on the final boss in just a few seconds. There we go. And Sukimos had a nice wrap up of Iron Fortress. And with Thebluemania on the first phase of the Death Egg robot, there is all three phases. First phase you play as Classic Sonic, second phase you play as the Avatar, and the third phase you play as all three at the same time. Although it really doesn't mean anything other than just moving left and right and jumping. Can't use the Wispin. And this is just a evil little callback to the Eggman fight previously, where you just knock the rocks back at him. And that's just a pretty simple phase, just knocking him back. The second phase is where things get really heated, because there's a strat that I know they're going to go for that it is fairly simple to mess up. Basically, you drill towards the core and then you jump to be able to hit it without having to wait for it to approach you on its own. You just repeat that 2 times, and the timing for it is really wacky. It's easy to miss it. So if you get it, then that is a very nice time save over just waiting. And he wrapped up the second phase in a 113. So if this keeps up, this will be a very solid Death Egg robot fight. And Sukimos just wrapped up the Kirby Superstar part of Final Judgment. And the W is starting at a 55, which is really good. And finally, the third phase of the Mega Death Egg robot is starting. And if you've ever played Sonic Colors or Sonic Lost World, then you know exactly how this fight goes. It's about the same. Dodge its attacks, you get the boost capsules, and then you boost towards the face. You homing attack the face numerous times, then you boost towards it again, homing attack it over and over, rinse and repeat until the fight is over. That's not to say there isn't still any risk of dying per se, because there is, especially if you don't get very good RNG with the boost capsule placements, or if you just get sloppy with dodging the attacks in general. So seems like Thebluemania will be wrapping up the fight nicely. As for Sukimos, as long as he gets the first 2 phases down, just like Thebluemania did, then he'll be in basically the same range. Thebluemania's getting there, halfway done with that fight. Sukimos is wrapping the first phase. Very nice. And Thebluemania just has one more set of hits to go through, and then the robot is down. Sukimos start the second phase, and first part was very nice. Thebluemania is wrapping up the run in general. Got in-game time 3:29 for the fight. Very nice. Unfortunately, Sukimos died on the second phase. That is rough, but at the very least, you started over from the second phase instead of the whole fight. Still, Thebluemania wrapped up his run with a 54-54. And as long as Sukimos can get the second phase down on this attempt... Ah, no. He died again, unfortunately. The second phase is not to be trifled with. It is not easy to get. It's just how quickly you have to drill and jump towards it in the first part. And sometimes the game will just not react to your inputs when you're trying to homing attack the robot and the reticle appears but nothing happens, which we just saw happen to Sukimos, unfortunately. Not feeling too good about this. This is that sucks. But he got the second part. As long as he can homing attack it again, destroys the floor, homing attack the core a few more times. No! Oh man, he got hit by the laser, which the robot does after destroying the floor. This is not looking good. I hate watching this. It's hard to watch. And Sukimos wrapped up the second phase. Yeah, that was unfortunate.
At the very end of a run, too.
Yeah, really sucks when that happens to anybody.
I mean, both runners here were playing really, really clean until he just got basically unlucky. I mean, that's what was happening there. Like you said, it's a very, very finicky timing.
Yeah. At the very least, third phase, and as long as you don't get hit by the attacks here, there's really nothing to worry about, so that's that. Second hit. And Sukimos is at least no, Sukimos Sukimos somehow let go after attacking the robot again in the middle of the fight, so now he has to start that cycle over again. That's a little extra time loss. And now he is running low on boost, so we gotta... Okay, he got a boost capsule at the very least. Oftentimes, if you're low on boost after a cycle, you really just gotta pray to RNGesus that another boost capsule will appear. At least that did happen, and now he's about to wrap up the fight.
There's nothing the three of us can't achieve together. Victory is ours.
With the triple boost, this is over. Yeah, 5:23 in game time. Well, that was that was not a bad run. That was actually pretty good, and then Death Egg Robot happened. That is unfortunate, but shit happens to us.
Oh yeah, both runners put in a heck of an effort and played a really clean race and frankly represented this game very, very well.
Yeah, good job to you both guys.
And a special thank you to you, Sayori, for helping with commentary. You did a fantastic job yourself.
Yeah, thanks. Again, sorry for the mic cutting out. I still don't
Oh,
know what even
man.
happened there. I don't know
Man,
how long I was off.
things happen live. You know what I mean? It's the best we can do. We're all in different parts of the world, you know, but we try our best to make sure everything goes smooth. But dude, don't even
Yeah.
worry about it. We had things ready to go. All right, and coming up next on the 2018 Sonic Generations Relay Race, we have Sonic Advance 3 coming up with
Advance 3.
Fruit Salad and Omla 3. And stick around for that. We're going to set this game up here shortly. Enjoy the music.